StockMentor.com here in the beautiful Black Hills of South Dakota. I'm your Stock Mentor, Brian Johnson. And for those of you that have been with me for a while, you probably noticed the new intro. What do you think? I think it rocks. I think it's awesome. So, anyway, I want to take just a couple seconds to brag on who actually did it. I wish I could take credit for it because it's just that cool, but I'm not. But I didn't do it. A lady by the name of Bridget, I hope I get the last name right, Latanzio. I hope I get that right. Latanzio. I love that. I hope that's right. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it. Anyway, this lady here did the intro for me. she's brilliant. She's awesome. I would have never known even where to start on making something like that, and she's incredibly creative. I was completely I didn't give much direction at all. I just said, hey, would you be willing to do something like this? She said, sure. She has a huge portfolio here. If you make it to her site, I'm going to post it here as well. The site link will be down towards the bottom or something. But anyway, she does a brilliant work. I gave her very little to go on. I just said, something stock-oriented kind of, and if you could take my logo and put that in there somehow and make it work. And she just ran with it. And what you see was pretty much, for all practical purposes, the final product. She sent me mock-ups and stuff, and I was like, wow. There was very little work to be done, if really any, to be quite honest. Once she sent me the mock-ups, I just gave her a little bit of direction, and she took it and ran with it. She's incredibly creative. She's very good at what she does, obviously. And so let me just brag on her for a second. If you guys need anything like that done, I highly, please check out her site. She was very good, very efficient, great communication. When I hadn't heard from her for a week, she told me going in, it might take me a little while to get through it. I'm a little busy. I said, that's fine, no big rush. But about every 7 to 10 days, she'd just write me to give me an update on where she was at and what she was doing and how far along she was. It was awesome. She kept in contact. Communication was fantastic. So I highly recommend you guys need anything like that done for your business. I mean, how much more professional does that make your business look if they come to your site and you have any kind of a video thing running? If you're anything from a car lot to a investment agency, if you need a little bit of a video, or if you have video on your website, a tiny little intro like what you just see can add so much to the professionalism of your site. And this lady here, I can't say enough good about her. So check out her site. Make sure you go through her portfolio. You'll see what she does is a lot of those DVD menus where you pop in the DVD, it comes up to the menu, and you can choose setup or play or whatever. Okay, a lot of those menus, those type of things are what she does. So anyway, she's very, very good at what she does. Here's the Karate Kid, the more recent Karate Kid. She did the intro or the DVD menu stuff for all of that. She's done that for numerous things. I can just kind of pick a bunch of stuff here. National Treasure and Dante's Inferno for you gamers out there. She does a lot of that kind of stuff. iRobot. Yeah, so she's not small time. She knows what she's doing. So you guys need any of this stuff done, please check out her site and talk to her about it. She's just brilliant. Okay, so got my new intro. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I really am. I love it. I'm absolutely in love with it. So on to the markets. Now we have to start the new week. And we had quite a bull run here the last few days, and you can see what happened. We got up and above some of these overhead areas. You guys following me last week, you were able to pick up some profits off of not only the stock trades that we had, but Apple, if you like to trade Apple. FAS and FAZ really didn't do a whole lot necessarily, but Apple was a good trade, and then of course the indices we were able to make some money off of. So let's see if we can't repeat that performance again this week. The Dow up and into this overhead area, so guess what? We're looking for moves up and over this 12,300-ish or so area. Any drops to the downside, you want to watch 12,100 to 12,000 for your lower support within the Dow itself. You can see the climb we've had getting up above these moving averages, which I thought this is what we're going to want to watch on the way back up. I said look for these to hold as overhead resistance, but they didn't last long. Couple of days, and then the bulls made their run, and once they got up and above it, away we went. So you can see the bulls starting to make this push back. Now, is anything broken in the bigger picture from the bear side? No, not quite yet. Is anything broken from the bull side in in the bigger picture. Not quite yet. So we're still stuck in a situation where you guys really, really need to focus on overhead resistance and support and wait for breaks of those levels before you start putting any money into this market. Otherwise, you could get your hand slapped quite a few times in some chop that we may see coming into early in the week. News, whatever, let it be what it is, but start watching the open come tomorrow morning and see where this thing wants to head. But right now, everything's looking good for the bulls. In this little push to the upside. Better confirmation too by the internals on Friday. So here's the push by the NASDAQ getting up and over some of this overhead resistance where it came back to rest. And now you can see the bigger areas to be watching, both to the up and to the down. Got quite a ways to go. There's a big spread here for the NASDAQ. It has been kind of the lagger in the bigger picture, and it has not yet come back to these overhead levels. Any bullishness in the markets and the techs will start to catch up. Right now they're doing very well. Back above here, back above the moving averages, resting at on around whatever the 50. This is a big spot to take. So any kind of further push to the upside by the bulls can definitely get you into some of these overhead areas, lending itself to what could be some more good trades within not only the indices but within Apple. And maybe if we can get the financials to move, which I think we will this week, we should start to see some moves within FAS and FAZ too. From a weekly perspective too, here's the big push we had in the NASDAQ. Look, going all the way back to August, huge push up, right into the top, little pullback into support. Now we wait and see. Elliott Wave webinar, Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. For all of you that haven't signed up yet, get in on it, because this is a great time to start looking at using Elliott Wave as another tool for your toolbox. It's incredibly useful if you know how to use it within your trading. I can't stress that enough. It's not good just in and by itself. There's other things that need to be done with it that can make it very, very effective. We'll talk about that Thursday. But once again, 1, 2, 3. Are we done with a 4 before a 5 up? It's anybody's guess right here. This is where it's going to get kind of tricky. Okay? But this is where we kind of can put ourselves within a larger count if you're an Elliott Wave type of a person. Still work to do, guys. And there's still no real direction. We can't say for sure exactly where we're at. Like I said, in a very neutral position right here. SPX 60-minute also getting up and above, coming back to these levels. Now, above us, we're going to have some pretty strong overhead resistance as we pour into the 1330 area if it'll get up and above these areas again. So if we see some bullishness early in the week, look for that. Otherwise, to the downside, coming back into 1300 is definitely a point of support. 1305-ish too as well, point of support. And you can see how it's just, this is a little bit further ahead of the NASDAQ, where the NASDAQ stuck at its 50-day moving average. The Dow and the SPX are already pushing past and getting up into these overhead levels. So here we go. ABC correction, 1, 2, 3. This is 4 with a 5 down. Anybody's guess. This is why you can't just use Elliott Wave. You have to know how to use it in the proper context. So we will wait and see if we can't get some breaks one way or the other to give us some direction. But your breaks are up into this area and down below these areas before you start looking for any to really throw your money at anything. I wouldn't be taking any large positions until we see that happen. The VIX poured. It just poured downwards last week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we were up in here about a week or so ago. Then last week we saw it just completely fall apart. Back into and around this 18 area. I like it to be around 1920-ish right now for the time being. And you can see that the market is just digesting the news. Anything that comes along last week was all pretty much good news. The market just lost interest. There wasn't a lot of panic. Everything's going to be fine. So Japan's starting to come out of their thing. Libya, we don't know with the Libya thing, but apparently the investors on this side of the ocean really don't care all that much. They're starting to get pretty comfortable with where they're at. If you are bearish, you want this thing to hold above this blue line by the end of the week. So you'll be watching this very closely to see if this support area type starts to hold. Any further pushes back into 16, 1650, and then even down into 15. Here we go again, coming right back into this lower level of contentment. by the market, especially the options players. Okay, Apple getting up and over. Put in some new lines. Want you to watch this closely coming into the new week, and that is pushes up and above this 354 range. To the short side, a little bit more tricky from a intraday standpoint. Going to a daily, though, you want it to get back below these moving averages. These were the things to beat last week. As we watched it kind of push its way into these overhead levels, it stopped and held very well at these levels. And once certain resistance and or support levels get broken, Apple's behave pretty well. So here we go with this bigger level right here. Stopped on Thursday. Friday we got up and over this bigger level here and then ran straight up all day long. So that 353, 354 area, not a bad place to start looking for a little bit of a long if you're into the Apple trade. I think it can get itself into some pretty good gains, especially if we can make 357, 358 range, get up into here, get a little bit more confirmation from the bulls. This thing could be in for a nice new push to the upside. And of course, as always, we'll be watching the weekly to see if that'll give us any overhead resistance. But that is now at or around 365. That is a ways away. So let's take it one small bite at a time, see if we can get up and above these other levels first if you're bullish on Apple. FAS, you can see it trouncing sideways all week from the 18th to the 25th, nowhere. Just sideways within this range, looking for pushes above 30 and below 28. Same thing on the daily here. You can see it getting stuck at the 20-day, and that's what? $30. Gee, go figure. Above 30, below 29 and or 28 for your options to the downside. 29 being a little bit more aggressive to the short side, but you can see it all last week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this whole area here, nothing but sideways choppy action. Wait for the breaks. FAZ then doing the same thing, trapped in its own little range here, below 40 and above 43. And really the nicer picture is right here on the daily. You can see it resting on this lower line right here and kind of stuck with this upper line right here. So at a crossroads. Below 40 and still above, 43-ish for the more aggressive, but you're going to be watching 46 then. And pushes above 46 definitely gets you in a much more bullish position going forward and a much more bearish position for the financials. But right here you can see us wandering sideways all last week, getting absolutely nowhere. Stuck in this channel here, combined with this channel here. Okay, so that'll do it for this week, or this, I should say, this day's video. I want to also go over with you really quick what happened last week on the subscribers newsletter. Trades long and ATI turned out very well. Got up and above these moving averages, started to wind our way upwards. So it didn't run quite as hard and as far as I would have liked it, but we did pull $1 to $2 out of that. CHKP was another one that we went long on. Breaks of this 20-day here gave us options for about, we made about, like I said, anywhere between 50 cents to $1.50 or so by the time this trade was done, depending on where people took their profits at. Overhead was at 50 and or 52 for their overhead areas, but you can see this one worked out very nicely. MA was on my list last week, and we caught this one on a break above this level as well. Some people got out at this overhead resistance level. That was always my first target. Made probably $3, $4, $5 off this trade. If they held by the end of the week, they were more break even. So it depends. Once you get into the trade, I give you ideas for exits. I don't tell you when to get out. I let you decide when to get out. So some people took profits at the end of Thursday. Others took profits at the end of the week. And at the end of the week, they were break even to a little bit up by the time this trade was done, but MA worked out pretty well for us, and MAA was one I watched as well, which did nothing. We had a lot of gappiness to this one. It didn't break the way I wanted it to, and by Thursday I told them no matter what happens on Friday, don't do anything with this. Just leave it alone. So this one was just, we just didn't get the move this week. Still one to be watching going into the next week, but I've got I put like 4 or 5 more on the subscribers list this week that I really am excited about. I think they have really, really good potential. So check out the subscribers newsletter. Here is my site. Over here to the right, what you can't see. Let me move. There you go. Over here to the right, click on this for the newsletter. Down here is the Elliott Wave webinar. Either one. Click on both of them. Sign up for the newsletter, get into the Elliott Wave webinar. We will see you Thursday night, and if nothing else, we'll certainly see you again tomorrow night.